Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and this is the Ownvoices book tag. So this book tag was created by Mel from Books with Wings and Katie from Katie Loves to Read, and they did this book tag as part of Ownvoices October, and even though Ownvoices October is definitely, like, it's been over for a while, I still really wanted to do this tag, and this is like a super fun tag. So anyway, I'm going to preface this by saying an Ownvoices book is a book written about and by the same, like, marginalized group. So like a book about a Chinese person written by a Chinese person, etc., etc. The first question in this tag is, what are some Ownvoices recommendations that you have? And I am going to recommend, first of all, Tell Me Again How a Crush Should Feel. I talk about this book quite a bit on this channel, but I am going to mention it again because I can't do an Ownvoices video without talking about this one. So this is about a Persian American lesbian, and it is by a Persian American lesbian, so that is like Ownvoices on two counts, basically. Another Ownvoices recommendation I have is Kindred by Octavia Butler, which I do not have with me, but that is about a black woman who goes back in time, and it is a really freaking good book. Next, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. This is basically based on Sherman Alexie's growing up on an Indian reservation and stuff, but it is actually a fictionalized version with all this fictionalized stuff, but it's based on his own life, which makes it really interesting. And then I know that when it comes to like LGBT Ownvoices books, it can be really difficult to find out whether or not a book is really Ownvoices or not, because someone's sexual orientation is not quite as readily available on the internet as their ethnicity is. So I'm going to share with you a few like books about lesbians and stuff that I know are Ownvoices. So the first one I have here is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst, and this is about gay princesses, which is really amazing. And also what's really great about this book is that queer relationships in this world are fairly typical, and so the fact that two women are in love isn't that weird. The reason that their love is forbidden has nothing to do with their gender. It has to do with the fact that one of them is supposed to marry somebody else. The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth, which is actually being adapted into a TV series pretty soon, so that's pretty interesting. But it is basically about a girl named Cameron in, like, Montana at least 20 years ago or something. And she is in love with a straight girl, and when everyone finds out, she basically gets sent off to a gay conversion place and kind of just bullshits her way through the entire thing because, as most of us probably know, gay conversion therapy type stuff is complete bullshit. And, like, she knows that, and everyone who she meets there, who is also a, like, patient there, totally knows that too. Like, they know there's, like, no changing who they are, obviously. Like, gay people don't just turn straight. Another couple of really quick, like, lesbian book recommendations that are Ownvoices are Tipping the Velvet and The Fingersmith, both by Sarah Waters, and basically those books are both historical fiction, and they're both very different from each other. Like, The Fingersmith doesn't really have anything to do with sexual orientation that much at all. Both of the characters just happen to be into girls, basically. Whereas Tipping the Velvet is very heavily a lesbian novel, and everyone in it is a lesbian, and it's really about, like, self-discovery and, like, discovering that you're a lesbian and all this other stuff. So they're both very different from each other, but they're both super good. The next question on this tag is, what Ownvoices books do you want to read? So first of all, I really want to read Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova, and I think that's her name, and that is about a girl who is a bruja, and she doesn't want to have powers, so she does something to get rid of her powers, but it gets rid of her family instead. And I think that's super cool because this is a fantasy that stars a Hispanic main character, and I don't feel like we get enough of those, so that sounds super good. There's also another book called Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose Older, that is also an urban fantasy starring a Hispanic girl, so that is super cool too. I definitely can't wait to read that. Then there is a book called When the Moon Was Ours that has two diverse main characters, one of whom grows roses out of her wrists, and they have to try to get away from people who are trying to get the roses. So that sounds like a super crazy like dream logic book, but Mel loves this book. Like, she's been raving about it a lot lately, like saying, like, highly recommending it and saying that the writing is super good. So that definitely makes me excited to read that. I also really want to read If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, because that is about a trans girl, and it's not really a discovery of discovering that you're trans. It's just a story about with a like character who happens to be trans. Out of all the like different letters in LGBTQ blah blah, the trans aspect is what I know the least about. And then also Cece from Problems of a Book Nerd recently read a book called Becoming Nicole about a trans girl, and basically she felt like that book, since it wasn't written by a trans person or anything, it focused too much on like the family and what they were going through instead of like the trans girl's story. And so she was saying in her review, like, I just wanted to hear Nicole's story. Like, I didn't really care about what her family was thinking. Like, I wanted to hear her story. And then she actually concluded that by saying, well, I guess if I wanted her story, like, I could have read an Ownvoices book by a trans author. So then that kind of shows you how important it is to read books like If I Was Your Girl. And Robin Talley is a lesbian author who I definitely want to read books by, but I never have. And in particular, I'm really looking forward to Our Own Private Universe, which is a story about a girl who thinks that she's straight, like she's never liked a girl before, she's only liked guys, and then she meets a girl. And I am just such a sucker for like stories about two girls falling in love, or a girl like falling in love with another girl, even like whether it ends happily or not. Like, I just really like that kind of story. Then the third question in this tag is, why is Ownvoices important to you, or what makes Ownvoices important to you? And I feel like there are a couple of reasons. So first of all, obviously a book written by a member of the marginalized group that the characters are from is obviously going to be better and more representative of that group. I mean, nobody wants to be that person who pulls a Stephanie Meyer or J.K. Rowling and totally misrepresents somebody, but people do that. That does happen, even if it's totally not intentional at all. When I participated in Diversathon, I realized just how important it is to prioritize Ownvoices. And then also here in the United States, we recently elected a racist new president and an extremely homophobic vice president, which honestly kind of scares a lot of people, including me. And so unfortunately, the immediate repercussions of this had to do with a lot of people going, hey, it's okay to be racist now. And so that people just started, even here in the Portland area, people started coming out of the racist closet and just attacking minorities all of a sudden, which is so not cool at all. It's messed up. The more Ownvoices books that people read, the less likely they're going to be unaccepting. And I bet you that even if some of these racist people had even read one diverse book, and especially an Ownvoices book growing up, they would be way less likely to be racist now. So I feel like diversity in the media is so important. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Netflix original show Luke Cage. I think it's a Marvel show. I haven't seen it, but basically it has almost an all-black cast pretty much. And for some reason, a lot of white people think that's racist. And I'm just like, really? Okay, how do you think black people have felt watching, I don't know, all-white shows for the past forever? I think that a lot of people who may think that diversity is killing white culture or anything like that, I think those people can, they need to realize that promoting stuff that has people of other ethnicities in it and all of that doesn't erase the stuff that has white people in it. It just makes the media as a whole like more diverse, and so that everyone feels like they're adequately represented in the media. That is the Own Voices tag. I will leave Mel's and Katie's original videos down below so you can see what books they recommend. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Own Voices book is, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!